Russia's geopolitical action in Ukraine have unsettled the world food production and consumption chain. The United Nations has already expressed their concern that if geopolitical situation will go on like this, then the world will going to face the severe food crisis. They have also warned that the world is already facing a potential food crisis with soaring prices and the millions in the danger of severe hunger. The food prices were already high due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Over that, the Russian invasion of the Ukraine on 24th February made the situation worse. The rich Western countries will make the profit out of this crisis, but the burden will be borne by the African and the Asian countries, those who are underdeveloped, and the undeveloped countries. So all of you have understood that what we are going to discuss in this topic and what will be our discussions in this segment. We will going to discuss the how Ukraine crisis will going to create the food crisis across the world, how it will going to affect India, and what will be the situations when the food crisis will going to hit this world, what the world should do and what United Nations should do to resolve this crisis as fast as possible. Now the question is the how it will going to create the food crisis all over the world. As we all know, Ukraine is considered as Europe's breadbasket, and it is also considered as an breadbasket of the world because Ukraine is the major producer of wheat, sunflower oil, vegetable oil and the other staple foods. The Ukraine is the world's 9th largest wheat producer and 5th largest wheat exporter. Also, the Ukraine and the Russia is the world's largest sunflower oil producer. Russia and the Ukraine also the world 8th and the 9th largest vegetable oil producer. According to the Ukrainian Ministry of Agrarian Policy and the Food's latest data for the marketing year 2021 and the 22 stated that 17.9 million tons of wheat, 5.62 million tons of barley and 18.9 million tons of maize was exported to the various countries, especially the Africa and the Middle Eastern countries. According to the Food and the Agricultural Organization of United Nations, the Ukraine would export the 6 million tons of wheat and the 16 million tons of maize, and the Russia would export 8 million tons of wheat and 16 million tons of maize for the remainder of the 2021 and the 2022 session. But due to the export ban on Russia and the Russian invasion of Ukraine put several countries' food security in jeopardy. 30% grains from Ukraine are exported to countries in the European Union, whereas half of the overall export volume reaches in Asia and the Northern African countries. The world grain market already in disarray, seeking the way out. The Africa is already suffering from losing access to Ukrainian wheat. Among the African nations, Egypt will be the significant loser because the Egypt is the world's one of the largest wheat importer. Specifically, the Egypt is the largest importer of the wheat. They import most of its wheat from Ukraine, Russia and the Romania. Russia and the Ukraine collectively covered the approximately 70% of Egypt's imported wheat. And the Egypt's need of the wheat is very urgent. Otherwise, their bread making factories will go vanish within days. Their bread making small and the MSME businesses will be destroyed. In Asia, China's maize and the barley export will be disrupted. And the Indonesia top wheat supplier is Ukraine. Then Indonesia will going to pay the heavy price for that. As we know, the most of the Ukrainians wheat granaries are in the eastern regions of the Ukraine, which is in the close proximity to where the Russian troops has been deployed. So the threat on the supply sides are increasingly felt, and already tight oilseed market is now threatened by the loss of the Ukrainian sunflower seed oil. The prices are already high because of the supply chain disruption caused by COVID-19 pandemic, and the food prices are high and the volatile. With the wheat futures prices trading both up and the down, the daily limit since the war erupted. So the wheat demand is increasing, but the supply is getting reduced because of this war situation. And the world have to seek some kind of solution by discussing collectively. then this kind of food crisis will going to be solved. Otherwise this world will going to face the huge crisis, and the world will going to pay for this. India is facing grave problem due to the soaring prices of cooking oil. The cooking oil prices were already high due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Now this ongoing crisis between top producers and the exporters of sunflower and the vegetable oil made this situation worse. India cannot import the Ukrainian edible oil and the Russian edible oil because the Ukrainian import has been halted due to the Russian invasion. But the Russian import has been halted due to the massive Western sanction on Russian economy. We cannot import from the Russia because Russia is under the SWIFT ban, and the Russia is under the ban of the dollar. Russia cannot use the dollar, and India cannot pay them by using the dollar. That is why India cannot import them. And if India will going to import the Russian oil, the edible oil, by using the rupee, if the United States will going to know that the India is using it, then we will come under this kind of sanctions too. And the Russia and the Ukraine together account 90% of India's sunflower oil imports. So India is sure to be hit hard by this kind of supply chain crunch. The India have already requested Indonesia to ease the palm oil export policy, and India is also trying to seek some kind of solutions that how to resolve this kind of edible oil crisis within the country. In India, sunflower oil is the fourth most consumed edible oil with an annual consumption of 2.5 million tons. Although among all edible oil, palm oil top the list. India's total palm oil consumption is 8 to 8.5 million tons, followed by soybean oil at the 4.5 million tons and the mustard and the rapeseed at the 3 million ton. The India produces only 50,000 tons of sunflower oil, and the rest imported from Russia and the Ukraine. So the India have to compensate it somehow. Somehow India have to come to a solution that how they will going to compensate. According to the data from the Commerce Ministry, the India imported 2.5 million tons of sunflower oil for $1.8 billion. Among those 2.5 million tons, India imported 1.93 million tons from Ukraine for $1.6 billion. Rest come from Russia for $0.29 billion. The price of the edible oils are increasing since 2021 due to the COVID-19 pandemic and the unfavorable weather conditions to oil producing countries like Malaysia, Indonesia, Ukraine, Argentina and Russia. And the labor shortage is one of the reasons behind the price hike. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the laborers are unavailable all over the world, and soybean and the vegetable oil prices are also increasing. Now the Indian government desperately looking for the way out, and Indian government is surely looking for the way out of this kind of situations, because this kind of situation will going to hit the middle class hard. As the situation is getting harder and harder, that's why Indian government has come up with some solution. Indian government has came up with short-term solution and the long-term solution. As a short-term solution, the India has already showed and slashed all import duty on all kind of oil imports. And the long-term solution is Indian government will going to invest 11,040 crore rupees to boost the cultivation of palm oil under the National Mission on Edible Oil. And Indian government is also urging the farmers to change the farm habit, encouraging them to produce the more oil seeds to make the India self-reliant on edible oil production. The Indian government is trying to make the India the oil importer country to the oil exporter country, from the edible oil importer to the edible oil exporter country, and this will going to increase the India's foreign reserves. And this is how the Indian government is encouraging its farmers by giving the subsidies to them. As we know, the world is more globalized than it used to be. No country can survive in isolation. Every country rely on the others to fulfill their demands. Every country have to import some kind of goods from the other countries. Deglobalization is out of context right now. Deglobalization will going to take place and in time. But the deglobalization solutions will not going to be a healthy solution for this world. That's why United Nations have to take the responsibility to stop this war. and they have to make themselves a party between these two superpowers, Russia and the USA, to bring the peace to the world. And if the United Nations failed like the League of Nations, then what is the value or what is the true sense of having the United Nations at this time? Because the United Nations was created because to solve this kind of war situations. And if it is as numb as the League of Nations used to be, then what is the meaning of having the United Nations? Such kind of body has to be dissolved, and the countries should resolve their issue bilaterally. So in my view, if this crisis is not solved, then there will be serious short-term and the long-term repercussions in developing Asia Pacific, Africa and the South Asian countries. Some of the short-term consequences are already in play, because Russia and the Ukraine are the major fertilizer producers country of the world. So the fertilizer price already became threefold. That made agriculture costly already. As we know, in modern agricultural systems, oil is an essential good to run the agrarian machines like the tractors and the pumps, to sow ground and to do the irrigations. And the oil producing country, Russia is an oil producing country and one of the largest oil producing country of the world. Because of the sanctions of the world, the Russia has not been able to sell its oil to the other nations. Then they are deprived of the oil revenue, and the world is deprived of the oil. So the oil prices has already hit the $100 per barrel. Some days back it hit the $140 per barrel. So oil prices hit, so then the agricultural cost has gone higher, the transportation cost has gone higher. So these additional problems will going to push the prices higher and higher. This will going to create the more trouble for the society, the societal equality, and the inequality will going to increase. Because when the farmer will be deprived, then the farmer will reduce the food production, and then the urban and the rural balance will going to get disturbed. More farmers will quit their farming, they will migrate to the towns for the other jobs, because they will have the lesser revenue to run their family. They will going to go for the more revenue to earn the more revenue to run their family. Then the low food production lead the food crisis all over the country. Then the slowly this will going to sweep all the world. The only one way world can survive, and the people have to change their food habits, simply transfer their staple from the wheat to the rice. But it will going to take some time, and the money is also required to ready the ground for the rice production, because to do the rice production, it need the proper environment and need the proper kind of irrigations, and all the countries across the world cannot produce the rice because the water scarce. If the ground is scarce of the water, then rice will not be there. So the immediate solution is to end the war by the peace talks, by the negotiate in their own terms. If the United Nations is unable to do so, then both of these countries, Ukraine and Russia, have to talk and have to call for their own terms, have to negotiate in their own terms. Then the real solution will come. Now we have the questions. The first question is, which of the following nation is the largest wheat producer of the world? The first option is India, second is China, third is Russia, fourth is USA. The second question is, world largest wheat importer country, which one of is? The first option is Saudi Arabia, second is China, third is Egypt, fourth is Indonesia. If anyone have any questions or any doubt about this topic or any other topic which I have already uploaded, then mail me to my email address, which is tuhin.power.academy@gmail.com. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time.